My friend Tom FM created a video where he had Wonder Kid twins go forward into the future in Football Manager. Well, I have always wanted to take it one step further. Wonder Kid triplets. Except we're adding a twist. All of them have been adopted in random places all over the world. Well, not exactly random, I picked them. One's going to Spain and has grown up in the Real Madrid Academy. That would be this guy, Juan Manuel Rodriguez. The next one's going to France, but he's coming up in the Academy of fallen giant Bordeaux. That's this guy, Michel Biton. And the third, well, he was adopted in Tuvalu, a Pacific Island nation of under 12,000 people, where he plays in the youth academy of a club called Nauti. That dude's name, Kai Riwa. These three players are identical. 80 current ability, 200 potential ability, the highest you can have in Football Manager, with perfect hidden attributes to aid their development. Ready, set, live! Not off to a hot start for Juan Manuel Rodriguez. Despite the fact he's got the best place to start in, he's come out with plantar fasciitis and is already injured despite having excellent injury resistance. But he has already made his debut for Real Madrid's reserve team, Real Madrid C. Well, it's Castilla in real life. His average rating, though, a 6.3. We can improve that. Actually, you know what Juan Manuel Rodriguez might need? Loans. So I've been teasing you guys for a while now by wearing this incredibly awesome shirt amongst others on videos and streams all over the place, but it's finally time for me to announce something. The Loans merch drop is finally here. If you've ever needed a reminder to use Loans in order to augment your Football Manager experience, fear not. For the next 2 weeks, there's a limited amount of wonderful Loans merch, perfect for any situation in any walk of life. And for 2 weeks, it can be yours. The perfect stocking stuffer, the perfect Christmas gift. We've got shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got sweatpants. So if you want to support the channel and everything we do here and look fly as hell while making sure you never forget about Loans again, check out the Loans merch drop today. And if you're watching this video and it's already 2 weeks after that drop happened, then I don't know what to tell you. Allow me to sing you a sad song. Loans, loans, oh, you'll never have loans. Let's check in on our other two Wonder Kids, though, see if they've been loaned. Well, for Michel Biton at Bordeaux, it's a heaping, steaming pile of absolutely nothing. No appearances anywhere so far in the first 6 months. Still a sleeping giant, waiting to be awakened. And then there's Kai Riwa, who also hasn't done anything yet. And although it's impossible to track because we don't have any ability to see what the Tuvalu youth national teams are doing, Kai Riwa has already made an appearance for the U23 national team. So that does give Kai a chance to check off the first thing on our checklist for the triplets. Yeah. First thing on there is first international appearance. Be very surprised if that wasn't Kai Riwa, but honestly, I've never messed with the Tuvalu's national team before, so I just want to see if that works. There's also first senior club appearance, first trophy, most significant attribute development at the end, the biggest sale, see if somebody happens to be on the move, highest current ability at the end of the save. And that'll be easy to track because we're simulating for 10 years, to the point that these guys are done developing in FM. We'll see who wins the race for each. It's time for year 2. We start with Juan Manuel Rodriguez, who's recovered from his plantar fasciitis and made 10 appearances for Real Madrid Castilla. He also has 3 goals, and we see a good bit of development actually occurring, with his value being upped to 20 to 60 million. And his first professional contract notching him nearly $300,000 a year. He's also managed to get a U19 cap for Spain. So Juan Manuel Rodriguez is becoming a known quantity. But he's not the only one. So is Michel Biton. You see, Biton has kind of blown it because in January of the first season, Michel Biton was sold to Monaco for $44,000. Not million, thousand. A player that has the ability to become the best player ever has just moved from Bordeaux to Monaco for the equivalent of a goal bonus to your average Premier League player. Monaco has no idea what kind of deal they just got. Or they might, because Michel Biton's already made 4 appearances and scored 1 goal for Monaco's number 2 team, the reserve team. And he has also appeared for the French U19 national team. I feel terrible for Bordeaux. I tried to give them something good to smile about, and they sold him in 6 months. He's now listed for loan, attracting interest from Bastia and Dunkirk, so we might get some after all. But what about the wild card, Kai Reece? Well, crickets. The truth is, we don't really know what's going on with Kai Reece, despite the fact that there is a database that shows us simulating the Tuvalu's league. We were able to find that online. It's right here. He's not playing, even though Nauti won the league, so that's good for them. That's 4 straight. Now, Reece hasn't broken into the Tuvalu's first team either, and he's not really getting better. And somehow he wasn't the first person signed either. Nobody's scouting Tuvalu. Nobody knows this guy exists. People, he can change your life. And our checklist remains unchecked. Onward to March of year 2. And this is where we see somebody making some serious progress. Am I talking about Juan Manuel Rodriguez? Because he has gone from Real Madrid C to the Real Madrid Castilla. Because it turns out I was wrong. Real Madrid has a C team, and then there's Real Madrid Castilla, and then there's the first team. So, I don't know. I never manage clubs that are so good at the start, I make them myself. Or I'm just not very smart. Nah, it can't be it. Seriously, 20 appearances, 3 goals with Real Madrid C, 1 appearance so far with Real Madrid Castilla, and the value up to, on the high end, $93 million already. But that's actually not who I was talking about, because I'm ready to check something off our list. The first player to make a senior team appearance. And that would be Michel Piton, because he did, in fact, loan. I just need to be taller. There you go, right there. He went on loan to Bastia in the 2nd division of France. And by March, he's already made 21 appearances with 7 goals. That type of playing time's really put him on the map, and he's gone from somebody with almost no value at all to a year and a half later being valued 28 to 85 million. There he is, making his first ever appearance as the youngest player to ever take the field for Bastia on August 17th. A little over a year after this save started. And after a terrible start to the season in which Michel Piton definitely played a part, but hey, this kid's a freaking teenager, all right? He scored the first goal of his career, 26th minute, to pull out a draw against Alger. And then in the following game, Michel Piton would go on to score 2 goals for his first career brace in a win. The 2nd win of the entire season. It's not going well for Bastia, but it's going well for Michel, so all right. But he wasn't done. The next match, Michel Piton scored again in the 4th minute. The following match, he scored again. In the match after that, well, yeah, I mean, he scored again. He's 16. Needless to say, the first goal was the record-breaking goal for youngest goal scorer in Bastia history, by the way. We head over to Tuvalu, and the 3rd of the triplets, Kai Reece, is still doing nothing. No senior national team appearances, no club appearances for Nauti. He's still considered by the club to be a breakthrough prospect. If only they knew what they had. Year 3. It's kind of at the start of year 3. Juan Manuel Rodriguez was a part of the U20 World Cup winning team with Spain, and he didn't start the final, but he did appear off the bench and get a 6.9, so Juan Manuel. That's nothing on our checklist yet, but it's good. But as the actual season progresses, it becomes increasingly clear that Michel Piton and Juan Manuel Rodriguez are working their way to first team appearances. By February of 2026, Michel Piton has 12 appearances with Monaco's 2nd team after returning from his loan with Bastia. In those 12 appearances, he has 10 goals and 5 assists. He's begging for the call-up to the senior team. But then there's Juan Manuel Rodriguez, who has 11 goal contributions in 15 matches with Real Madrid's C team. And their attribute development's becoming incredible. But it was actually neither of them to take the first major milestone of the season. It was Kai Reece, who got the call up to the Tuvalu national team. It happened in September. Now, Tuvalu's not a member of FIFA, okay, so they can't qualify for the World Cup. They just play friendlies against other Pacific Island nations, and he made his debut in September 2025 for this Tuvalu national team. Reece's appearance checks the box. He's the first international triplet. And in that debut against Tahiti, he scored a goal. He also managed to register 2 appearances with Nauti out of their 10-match season, but they would go on to lose the league on goal difference. At which point, Kai Reece left. He just left at the end of his contract. And honestly, considering the fact that he wasn't getting a lot of minutes and he's already broken into the national team, it was the right move. And he's already drawing interest from Porto. Might be a comeback on for Kai Reece. But Kai would have a lot of room to make up, because in the next month, Juan Manuel Rodriguez would make his debut for Real Madrid. 3 consecutive matches in which Juan Manuel Rodriguez made an appearance off the bench. Well, for Michel Biton, he would sprain his knee ligaments, further delaying a debut with Monaco and putting him out for more than a month. By the end of year 3, Juan Manuel Rodriguez is a regular member of the Real Madrid team, with 13 appearances. Granted, they're all off the bench in the league. And then the most stunning one of all. He plays in the Champions League final, which Real Madrid, of course, wins. There he is. There's our boy, Juan Manuel Rodriguez. That winner's medal combines with his league winner's medal as Real Madrid would go on to become, Centurions? Centenarians? They got 100 points. And that means if we head back to our checklist, our first trophy, or should I say trophies, goes to Juan Manuel Rodriguez. Michel Biton did recover from his injury though, and he would make his debut for Monaco on April 4th. He would go on to make 2 more appearances with a nice 7.5 in the last match of the season, and Monaco would go all the way to the Coupe de France final. Michel Biton didn't play in that, or any other Coupe de France match at all, so he wasn't related to it yet. The third triplet, Kai Rewa, well, he remained lost at sea. Still clubless, still being inquired on by Porto, still with just 3 appearances for his national team. Year 4. A quick look at our competition checklist reveals that the early things have already been pulled off. We have our first trophy, Juan Manuel Rodriguez, our first senior club appearance, and our first international appearance, of course, Kai Rewa of Tuvalu. But there is another one on there. The biggest sale right now, $44,000 of Michel Biton to Monaco. If that ends up being the highest one, then what a waste of space that thing is on the checklist. But alas, this would not be a fruitful year for our players. Juan Manuel Rodriguez, he didn't make a single appearance for Real Madrid's first team the entire year. Seemingly called up because of circumstance towards the back half of last year, he spent his entire season playing for Real Madrid's C team. But a close examination of his stats for the year reveals that he did make 1 substitute appearance in the Copa del Rey, which of course Real Madrid then went on to win, so Juan Manuel Rodriguez has managed to pick up another trophy without making any senior team starts or any other appearances for the senior team all year. His value's starting to go down and he's stalled out in the Spanish national team U21s. I mean, his attributes are good, but Juan Manuel's not getting the looks. The same could be said for Michel Biton, who managed just 9 first-team appearances with Monaco, although he did score his first goal with Monaco. It came in a serious FMing, a dominant draw where Monaco had over 2 XG more than Lille, but Michel Biton was the only one to find his way into the back of the net, and he did it off the bench. Monaco would finish 5th though, providing an opportunity for Biton to play in the Europa League should he actually start to get playing time. I mean, development-wise, he's clearly turned into a very good player, and his value is higher than any other player in the group. But somehow that conversation does include Kai Rewa, because in August, at the start of the season, Kai Rewa was signed by Manchester United. He left Tuvalu, set out for the great unknown, and ended up on a Premier League team. Of course, when you look at his attributes, the man's only played 5 high-level, or should I say top-level matches with Tuvalu in his club. But the potential is there, and the game recognizes it. $26 to $78 million value. Signing with Manchester United has given him a few more first-team caps with Tuvalu as well. He's up to 5 with 2 goals. His latest coming on a penalty against Kiribati. If you're thinking 5 caps isn't a lot, it is all 5 matches that Tuvalu's played since he broke into the first team. So I think he's safely the leader of the pack there. But can Kai Rewa develop enough to make an impact in the Prem? Year 5. Surely this must be the breakout year for Juan Manuel Rodriguez, right? Well, wrong. He made 15 La Liga appearances for Real Madrid, yes, but again, they were all off the bench. He's still never started a league match for Real Madrid. He's also never scored a goal, just 2 assists in his now 3-year stint as part of the first team. Well, I guess 2 years, but a gap in the middle. He really is a bench specialist with 6 Champions League bench appearances as well. He made 1 start for Real Madrid in the Cup, his first career start for Real Madrid at all. But I'm sure his bench presence was instrumental in yet another league title, the 2nd La Liga medal that Juan Manuel Rodriguez is able to call his own. But remarkably, despite the fact he's never started a league or continental match for Real Madrid, Juan Manuel Rodriguez cracked the Spanish national team. At the age of 20, he made 2 appearances against Poland and Slovakia in March. And against Slovakia, he dropped a 7.8. Maybe Real Madrid should consider starting the guy. But for Michel Biton, the story was perhaps slightly different. He played 23 league matches for Monaco this season, and he actually managed to make 4 starts. And that's something Juan Manuel Rodriguez, he doesn't even know what that word means. 10 Europa League matches as well, meaning 20-year-old Michel Biton is a regular first-team member at Monaco. His contract's been bumped up to $1.5 million per season, and he's made it. As for Kairiwa, crickets. 20 years old, no matches, none. No loan either. I mean, they need to read the shirt. Give my boy a chance. Despite that, though, his value is on the top end, over $100 million. Year 6. All right, we're more than halfway into this now. We've got a couple of players that have at least made their way into the first team, but I honestly expected us to be farther along by now. Remember, these players have perfect potential ability and perfect hidden attributes. We just made them a little rough around the edges. Their ability was a little low. But even in year 6, Juan Manuel Rodriguez couldn't fully find his stride. 15 appearances for Real Madrid, and he did score his first 2 career league goals for the team. He also scored 2 Champions League goals and 2 Copa del Rey goals. Let's not pretend like these didn't matter, though. Rodriguez did score in both legs of the round of 16 against AC Milan here. And he made 2 more appearances for the Spanish national team, but it's not like he's flying up there either. It's kind of like our boy Juan Manuel Rodriguez at the age of 21. He's gotten stuck in neutral a little bit. And that's where Michel Biton has got him beat. The triplet that started at Bordeaux is starting to fly past Juan Manuel Rodriguez, who started at Real Madrid. Because this year, he averaged a 7.29 in Ligue 1 and was a regular starter for his Monaco team. 15 starts and 26 appearances. He was a legitimate part of a team that finished second in Ligue 1, granted 30 points off the team at the top. And his impact was being noticed because Biton was drawing interest from Liverpool and AC Milan. And then there's Kairiwa, who did nothing. Again, he made 2 appearances for the Tuvaluan national team, but Manchester United seems to have no idea what to do with him. They just can't figure it out. They just have no clue. Just really no feel at all for what to do with a young player that's not getting minutes. Year 7. And it was more of the same for Juan Manuel Rodriguez. 12 league appearances, but he did manage 2 starts and 2 goals. He puttered along as an impact sub in every competition for Real Madrid, continuing to waste his unbelievable potential en route to yet another La Liga trophy. So I guess boo-hoo him, he's still winning everything. He did manage to score his first international goal against Slovakia in the summer leading into this season though, so that may be the biggest accomplishment for him. 22 years old, 8 caps, 2 goals in 55 Real Madrid appearances. Not bad for most, but we know what he can be. But for some reason, Real Madrid just won't cut him loose. He can't break into the team. Michel Biton is having no such problems, because this was the year Michel Biton became a first-team star. He made 28 appearances, all starts in the league. An average rating of 7.44 with just 12 goal contributions, which is very impressive. And he also broke his way into the French national team. In September, he made his debut in World Cup qualification against Armenia, scoring a goal, actually, surrounded by 4 other goals from Kylian Mbappe. But against Andorra in November, he would score 2 goals with just 1 from Kylian Mbappe. In fact, he would go from not in the national team at all to seemingly a national team regular, with already 5 appearances by the end of the season. And just looking at his attributes, he's getting tasty. In his contract, over $8 million per season. Remember, Monaco paid $44,000 for this guy when he was 15 years old. Yeah, that was a good move. That was a good move. Well, let's check in on Kairiwa. Well, he's up to 10 appearances and 3 goals with Tuvalu, and he's getting paid $700,000 a year, which is actually a big pay raise. It means he's gotten a new contract at Manchester United. But now that he's turned 22, his value's gone down from upwards of $100 million on the high side to under $100,000. At least Manchester United has finally put him on the loan list. The problem is his massive wage will make it difficult for somebody to loan him. Because if you look at his ability, it's nothing compared to his siblings at all. And there really isn't going to be a great chance for Kyrie to reach his potential. But after this season, it was time for the World Cup. And there would be two of the triplets at this competition. Juan Manuel Rodriguez with Spain and Michel Biton with France. And this would be the culmination of the triplets' journey. Both teams were able to make it out of the group stage comfortably. Now, Juan Manuel Rodriguez didn't make an appearance for Spain in the World Cup group stage, but they beat Poland, UAE, and Nigeria. For France, it was a different story, because their triplet went off. Michel Biton scored the first goal of the World Cup for France in a 2-0 win over Colombia. He then scored the only goal in a 2-1 loss against Ivory Coast, and scored, the first goal in a 2-0 win over Iran. He scored a goal in the first 5 matches of this tournament, because he would score again against Australia in the round of 32. Then he would score 2 goals in a 4-0 rout of Germany in the round of 16. The guy that scored the other 2, Kylian Mbappe. So got a Biton Mbappe thing going on. Michel would start the quarterfinal, not score in a 2-1 win over Serbia, then rest in a 2-0 semifinal win over England, which brought him into a final against his triplet. Spain beat Uruguay in the round of 32. Then it beat Argentina in the round of 16. They did this in the most dramatic way possible, in penalties. Then Juan Manuel Rodriguez made his first appearance of the tournament, popping up in the quarterfinal for a brief cameo against Mexico. He didn't play against Denmark, where Spain was able to win it in extra time to force the World Cup final. And in the final, France would win. Juan Manuel Rodriguez would make a little cameo off the bench, but it was France that won it 2-1 on a late Kylian Mbappe goal. Michel Biton would finish tied for the most goals in the tournament with Bukayo Saka. A remarkable feat for a player who 2 years earlier couldn't buy a start with Monaco. With a 6-goal World Cup, he's well and truly put himself in position for stardom, while Juan Manuel Rodriguez seems to have put himself in position as a world-class role player for his career. And then there's poor Kyrie, who's still just there. Year 10. Juan Manuel Rodriguez continues to scrap for minutes. 8 appearances, then 11 appearances. But in his 10th year, hitting the final year of his development, Juan Manuel Rodriguez actually became a regular member of Real Madrid's team. 26 appearances, 11 goals. Granted, he only had 7 starts, but you score 11 goals with mostly bench appearances, you're still having a huge impact. And even though he wouldn't be a catalyst, he did go on to win the European Championship with Spain, as well as the Nations League. Typical of his career, he was an unused substitute in the Euros final against France, while Michel Biton was out there at the front of the line. And that's because Michel Biton spent his next 2 years at Monaco being absolutely sensational. A 7.53 rating and a 7.73 rating for Monaco. And then he would conquer one of the big milestones. A massive sale. $148 million move to Bayern Munich. 43 appearances, 30 goals for France, and certainly a messy-looking player, worthy of checking off of our competition checklist the biggest sale. Because you know Kyrie didn't sell for $148 million. I'm just assuming you figured that out. Biton's first season at Bayern Munich, he won everything there was to win. 22 goals and 7 assists while just being a star. And just so that Juan Manuel Rodriguez didn't have any bragging rights, yes, Bayern did win the Champions League final. And Biton started up front with his strike partner Rasmus Højlund, who happened to score both goals in the Champions League final against Inter. As for Kyrie, Manchester United released him after his second contract without him ever being loaned out or making a first-team appearance. A wasted 6 years. He was scooped up by Inter Miami, where he would make 7 first-team appearances. His first-team appearances since playing in the Tuvaluan League. But after dropping just a 6.4 rating, he was quickly relegated to the Inter Miami reserve team, where he resides today. This was in large part due to a series of significant injuries he suffered after moving to the United States, from a pulled abdominal muscle to a fractured lower leg that sidelined him for 3 months, to a pulled hamstring, and now a serious hip injury that is projected to keep him out for up to 4 more months. 3 identical triplets separated at birth. One rehabbing a hip injury in the Miami reserves, Another, winning the World Cup and becoming likely the best player in the world. And that's not a joke. Michel Biton now has the highest current ability of any player in the world at 198 out of 200. Juan Manuel Rodriguez comes in second at 167, while Kai Rewa never cracked 100. Which means on the winner's checklist, Michel Biton cleans up on current ability. And do we even really need to calculate the attributes when we see the kind of 20 vision, 17 pace, 17 acceleration, 18s in first touch and dribbling? Well, yes, what are we, savages? But as you can see overall, despite the fact that Juan Manuel Rodriguez is still a very good player who probably deserves more playing time at Real Madrid, Michel Biton has him beat on the attributes. Which means on our final tally of the winning metrics here, Kai Rewa with 1 first international appearance, Juan Manuel Rodriguez with 1 first trophy, and Michel Biton with 4. The player that started at Bordeaux ends up claiming every other sign of victory. And we lay our wonderful triplets to rest, their development complete. Hopefully long and happy and healthy careers ahead of them. Remember to check out the Loans merch drop, only available for 2 weeks, and be sure to check out that video where I just trapped Kylian Mbappe on the worst team in the game and saw what happened. And of course, it was interesting. I may or may not have also done the same thing to Erling Haaland as a control group, and that made it even more interesting. They do well. Just a little.